Like my skin is like you're making me uncomfortable. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
Jim, I'm sorry, you're fired. Get out of here.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Yep, he's a goner, and welcome to 757 Sports Talk. Wherever you may be tuning in, we thank you for doing so with us here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. He is the coach, Ed Young, who hasn't been fired yet. He's still coaching basketball at Smithfield. At least that's our understanding. He gives us a thumbs up. I am Matthew Hatfield. I'm not coaching anywhere, but nor is James Franklin now because, as you may or may not have heard, Sunday, less than 24 hours after their 22-21 home upset loss as a 20-plus point favorite at home against the visiting Michael Wilbons, the Northwestern Wildcats, meow, he got the boot after he lost as a 20-plus point favorite on the road on the West Coast, probably wishing he had not come back to the East Coast when UCLA knocked him off with Neuheisel's kid, Jerry. Hey, Jerry, calling the shots and the plays, and the Bruins got themselves another win by beating Michigan State. But 3 straight Big Ten losses, Ed, now for James Franklin, who literally 9 months ago, with about 7 minutes to play, his Penn State team was beating your Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in the college football playoff semifinals. Then poof, you fast forward from January to October, and he is no longer coaching a team that had designs on competing and possibly winning a national championship. This team was ranked by some number 1, number 2, or number 3. They have spit the bit. The Oregon overtime loss at home began their demise, and the Northwestern defeat finished his tenure.
Well, we could feel something coming because there's been a slew of Division I head coaches fired in the last month, right in the middle of the season, which is a rarity during the season. It usually happens right after the season. Losing to Oregon at home, even though Oregon is good, so some people don't like that. Up there in Happy Valley, losing at home. Plus the fact he's losing to a good team, which has been a knock on him, losing to some of the powers. Then you go out west, play an UCLA team that hadn't really done anything and has looked lousy doing nothing, gets a win. So UCLA just picked up another win this past Saturday. So that was definitely not good. And I really think at that point, those in the know and in the powers to be kind of were like, okay, we lose one more here pretty soon. Well, pretty soon was the next weekend, this past at home to Northwestern. That's not going to work. And I had a buddy text me real late Saturday night saying, hey, don't be surprised James Franklin's gone in the morning. And I said, yeah, I saw they lost to Northwestern. That's not good. And he is. Now he got a nice buyout. I think you said something, what?
The ticker showed it. $50 million. That's a lot of money. He doesn't have to coach for a while if he doesn't want to. Although he could resurface at a Bowling Green or a Virginia Tech or somewhere. Hey, the Hokies are in need of a coach.
He'll if he wants to coach next year. Now it depends on what his buyout says. Sometimes on the buyout it says we'll pay you what you asked for in a buyout. His around 50, but you cannot coach for a solid year. If you do, then we only pay you what you didn't make at the new school, something of that nature. So he tell you what, you pay me $50 million, $40 million, $30 million, $20 million, $10 million. Shoot, I may never coach again the rest of my life too.
The rumor mill's already starting, by the way. 7 schools since September 14th at Division I FBS that have parted ways with coaches, including the aforementioned Hokies of Virginia Tech and Bruins of UCLA, Oregon State, Oklahoma State. I'm a man. I'm not 40 anymore. He's gone. Arkansas, out the door. UAB parted ways with Trent Dilfer and now Penn State. And by the way, with Nebraska getting a big road win over Maryland in the Big Ten and Curt Signetti, he knows how to win. He can coach. Google him. Google him. Curt Signetti in Indiana goes to Autzen Stadium and beat the Ducks, who weren't all they're quacked up to be, 30-20. Boy, they were physical. Defensive line set the tone. And Fernando Mendoza, I told you he's the best Fernando since Valenzuela. He's still a Heisman candidate. 215 and a key fourth quarter touchdown. and he's now a hot commodity candidate. I don't think Cignetti's going anywhere. I think he's happy in Hoosierville. I think he's going to stay put. The former JMU Dukes coach, who's done a heck of a job there and made them a top 5 national title contender. Remember, they got knocked out in the playoff last year by your Irish. But I think Matt Rule, who's coaching the NFL and is taken from basically, relative obscurity, the likes of Temple and Baylor, and put them on the map, he's coaching the pros. I think he's a strong candidate. I'll give you one more name, Manny Diaz. Remember that name, Manny Diaz, Duke coach. Don't be shocked if he's in the mix for Penn State. He's been a coordinator at a high level. He's coached in various places. Texas has roots there. I think Manny Diaz is another candidate. So now the question becomes, what does Penn State do? But you know what? At the end of the day, Ed, this was probably the right thing for Penn State and for James Franklin, because Franklin, as much as we poke fun, he can coach, and he will end up somewhere else and coach at a lower level with not as much national prestige and prominence. Remember, he did a good job at Vanderbilt, and he'll probably win there. And Penn State will find their guy, although I'm not sure they'll be smiling and winning championships like they did during the Joe Paterno era anytime soon. It's going to take a while unless someone can wave that magic wand and get that magic player, especially at quarterback, because that was Franklin's downfall. They didn't develop the downfield passing game, and you saw how much they missed Tyler Warren, the tight end, out of Atlee High School, now catching touchdowns against my Arizona Cardinals for the Indianapolis Colts. Oy vey.
Yeah, I like Cignetti. If I'm not mistaken, a Pennsylvania guy. I think he's from Pittsburgh. Coached in the state. He's done great, but you're right. He just got at Indiana, and would he jump? Now, the money Penn State can throw at him, I think Indiana can't touch. That's my belief. Could be wrong. And he may not want to get known as my third school in 3 years type coach. But if he goes to Penn State and wins, he ain't going nowhere for a while. You don't leave Penn State usually to take another big job. But
he doesn't have to leave IU. He can compete for a national championship there, as he's showing right now.
Yeah, and as each week goes by, they're more and more a serious contender for that college football title. So you're right. He's in a situation where he could say, why do I got to go to Penn State to win a national title if I can do it here at Indiana? And to win in Indiana is a bigger deal than winning at Penn State, because for Indiana to win a national title, Penn State has done that in the past. You're going to look at Canada. You know what? I'm not as hip on Matt Rule as you are. I think, Penn State's going to take their time on this. They're really going to look at it. Diaz could be a good candidate. It could be somebody in a mid-Division I head coach, very successful. You could probably rule out any assistant for the most part, unless he's been a winner as a head coach somewhere. I just think Penn State works that way. But I would. It could be a guy at a high Division I that's looking good and then can do even more so at Penn State. Penn State's got the resources. That's the key with Penn State. They got resources. They got money. They got boosters.
I think you're still in Matt Rule a little too short there. And Manny Diaz is a name to keep an eye on for sure, especially if Duke keeps having success and they beat Georgia Tech here coming up soon. And by the way, shouting out Indiana's big win, some in-state players doing a good job from the Commonwealth. Leading receivers, Elijah Surratt from Colonial Forge High School, JMU transfer. Kalon Black from Salem High in Virginia Beach is the second leading rusher, and LeBron Bond on that team has already caught a few passes, a true freshman from Maury High in Norfolk. So Cignetti is no stranger to recruiting players from the 757 and all over Virginia. Big wins, too, for Texas over Oklahoma. Their defense balled out in the Red River rivalry shootout, and Alabama holding off Mizzou behind their Heisman candidate Ty Simpson, as well as Ohio State. The Ohio State Buckeyes, still the team to beat. Defense was elite, shutting down Luke Altmaier, that Illinois offense. Plus, can't leave out what Georgia did, rallying to double up Auburn 20-10. We've got more coming your way here on 757 Sports Talk, including a look at what happened on the gridiron in high school football, a big battle between the rivers of Indian River and Nansemond River that required overtime. Stick around for some interviews and more from that on 757 Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Elijah Boggs. All right, I'm here with an exhausted yet relieved Indian River head football coach, Brandon Carr. His team wins an overtime thriller 31-25 in the Battle of the Rivers. His Braves turning back Nansman River. What can you say about your freshman quarterback, Lord Malik Carew, who's walking this way right now, Coach? 26 of 40 for 249 yards, 5 touchdown passes, the game winner to Elijah Boggs. He's a freshman, but he's pretty special too, isn't he?
Yeah. I talked about it all week long. His preparation allows him to play the game calm and collective. And I think that's what we saw here in the second half. He was unrattled. He's like, hey, give us opportunity, and he took charge of it. But like I said all week, this kid prepares Monday through Friday, watches the film, and that's what allows him to play calm.
And it takes a whole group, the whole village, if you will, in sync. He gets 5 different receivers on that game-tying drive. Your offensive line did a good job giving him time. And really in a game where there was a lot of penalties, it was sloppy but exciting. How pleased were you to see your guys kind of rise to the occasion in that moment where it's kind of chips on the line, if you will?
All across the board. I mean, the team is young. The team is young. We're playing some young guys, and they all rose to the occasion. Like, they all showed some perseverance. They all showed the ability to stick together and play through adversity. So that is phenomenal to see with a young group like this and their growth here in midseason.
Also, to have that 4th and 2 stop, I believe it was Corey Sandlin who made it for you on defense. How big was that? Because it got you the ball back and gave you a chance here when they were trying to salt it away, running the clock out.
Oh, yeah, that was a kid that he said to us, at no point take me out of this game. Offensive line, defensive line, he said, do not.
Because he was the one hurling that play too, right?
Yes, but he laid out there, might have been a little beat up, bruised up, but he gave this team everything he had tonight. Sure. So when you got a guy like that, Star Wolf in the middle, hey, just going to make this defense and this team go.
Well, it reminds you of your younger days when you played for the Bruins, right? You're not taking me out of this type of battle, right? SCB, a lot of bragging rights?
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, 7 overtimes with Hickory. I remember those days. So
you had a 7 overtime?
Yeah, with Hickory, my senior year. So, it's the Southeastern District. Sure. You will go through some battles. There is no cakewalk.
Two more before I chat with your quarterback here. Tell me about Jason Preston. He had some big plays tonight. The interception, the overtime, 2 touchdowns on fades in the first half. Another guy that's a senior, unheralded, but my goodness, he makes winning plays, doesn't he?
Yes, Jason Preston, senior. He is taking his opportunity to showcase his ability, and he's rising to the occasion. Some balls came his way he didn't come down with. Some balls came his way he came down with. But it's a next play mentality, sure. And I'm happy to see him play that way tonight. In
a game with these two quarterbacks, yours is a freshman, the one going to Syracuse is a senior, and Tyrell Grant for them throw for over 500 yards and 7 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. You win it in overtime. What's this type of win do for your group as you move forward here and get closer to the playoffs?
You're just talking about playing some tough football. You're talking about, hey, being able to persevere, adjust to adversity, stick together. This is a playoff atmosphere. So when we get into November, shouldn't be rattled. We should learn from these mistakes tonight. Was it perfect? No, but it was a lot of lessons in the night to prepare us for down the line.
We'll go enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
So there you heard it from Brandon Carr, head football coach of the Indian River Braves. What a ball game that was on Friday night in Chesapeake at James L. Fry Stadium. Ed, as Indian River outlasted Nansman 31-25. Warriors certainly missed Quincy Gilmer, their sophomore receiver, had almost 100 yards receiving and a key touchdown. Got tossed before the halftime break. Tyrell Grant, their quarterback, headed to Syracuse, had a nice showing, but not enough of a running game, really, for either team. It was more of an aerial show, and in the end, the Braves had the composure, the key plays late to get it done behind a freshman trigger man who's going to be one of the best in the 757 if he's not already one of the best.
Yeah, young man, really composed in a very tough type game. Weather conditions a little windy out there too. I'm surprised many balls were in the air as they were and caught. But he's going to be a really good one. I'm interested to see. I know you talked to this young fella. I'd like to hear what he had to say.
Here it is, Lord Malik Carew with us on Cova Sports TV after throwing for not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4 LeBron, but 5 TD passes. All right, here with the freshman phenom quarterback, Lord Malik Carew, 26 of 40 for 249 yards passing and 5 touchdowns, including the game winner as his team is able to rally and beat Nansman over 31-25 in overtime. You're smiling now. How does it feel? You outlasted a really fine quarterback going to Syracuse and Tyrell Grant Jr. and his Nansman River team. You guys battled back. How's it feel to get this done in a rivalry showcase matchup?
It feels great. I believed in my team. I believed in my O-line. My O-line got my back, as I know. and we just went out there and showed what we could do.
Now, you guys are able to drive down the field about 70, 80 yards. You hit 5 different receivers. You end up tying the game on a touchdown. Take me through just kind of the process there. This is your first really opportunity for a game-tying or game-winning drive there late in the ball game.
Yeah, my process, like, during it was just take it one play at a time. Don't force nothing. Run if you got to. Just do everything you can to put your team in the right position.
It's been a rough night for the kickers. There was penalties, guys cramping up, injuries, a lot of smack talking and jawing before the game too. So there's some, it's an intense game. The extra point doesn't go through, and you get to overtime. Was the mindset change at all? What's kind of going through your head at that point?
No, so nothing changed at all. Just do everything I can in my power and believe in my team. Had to trust my guys that I know that we could ball out for the whole game, and we did, and we showed that.
One of the places that was working for you much of the night was the fade pattern. You hit Jason Preston, who had that interception in the OT on 2 of those in the first half. You hit someone else. It might have been either Donovan Brown or Elijah Boggs. I'm forgetting during the craziness of the game. How much did you see that on film during the week practice that that opportunity was there for you against this defense tonight?
I seen it a lot. I just took what the defense was giving me, and I was just showing what we've been preparing for.
You get the INT from Preston. It's your ball now. Either kick wins it or touchdown, 2 incompletions. Take me through that third down play and what you saw there when you get the ball to Elijah for the winning score.
It was nothing crazy. I was just treating it like another play. The moment was never too big for me.
Sure. To get this type of win, I know you guys lost a big matchup with Oscar Smith last month. What did you learn from that? Your team battled back and made it a closer game after they were beating you pretty good in the first half. But what did you learn from that game that helps you for tonight's matchup?
Never start out slow. Always put your team in the best position, and don't force a ball.
I got to know, you love football, right?
Yes,
who's your quarterback you love watching on Sundays and Saturdays?
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray? What is it about Kyler you like? You try to.
I've been watching him ever since his highlight mistake came out.
Okay.
So I've been following him ever since.
Good deal. And lastly, to get this win tonight, what do you guys do moving forward from this? How can you use this to help you on a playoff run?
It shows how physical we can be, how mentally prepared we got to be each week, and treat each team the same.
Well, number 7 for Indian River, he was helping his team get 7 points on touchdowns throughout the night, 5 TD passes and a game winner. Thank you so much. Go enjoy it.
Thank you.
We'll take Lord Malik Carew over Kyler Murray right now. My Cardinals lost again on Sunday, by the way. Jacoby Brissett wasn't too bad with 320 and 2 TDs, but 31-27. Will Garlick's Colts beat Matt Hatfield's Cardinals. But it is 757 Sports Talk and Cova Sports TV. Indian River has designs potentially, as they've now vaulted to number 2 in the power ratings in Region 5A on maybe a number 1 seed. And you say, how do they get it? Well, if Bayside can help them out and knock off Green Run, which is going to be a lot easier said than done, that may create a situation where the Braves could end up getting home field. And it's something that's out there. The Braves have given Green Run fits the last couple of years, but that's a big matchup coming up on Friday. Green Run, Bayside on Dahlia Drive. You have some other compelling games, too, coming up with Churchland trying to bounce back from its loss to Norcom, or Portsmouth rival, 11-10 as they take on Lake Taylor. War Hill plays Pocosin in the Bay Rivers. And the big one on the peninsula Thursday night, it's Hampton, it's Phoebus. It's part of the Great American Rivalry Series.
Lake Taylor Churchland will be a wild one. I mean, Churchland coming off a loss. Lake Taylor's won 5 in a row. Lake Taylor's putting points on the board, 49.4 points on the season, which, you think of them as a great defensive team, but nearly 50 points a game. Churchland got to be ready for that. Bayside Green Run game of the year up to this point in the beach. 2 high-powered offenses. Green Run at 46 points a game, Bayside 42. But something tells me that's going to be a defensive battle where the winner gets maybe 21.
Wow.
I'm guessing it's going to be low scoring. Of course, you know me, I love to see those high scoring basketball type scores. On the Bay Rivers, Pocosin, haven't given up more than 10 points in a game this year.
That's
I don't think of another team we can say that about. Destiny's in their own hands in terms of where they're going to go. They've done a great job. Lafayette, of course, has 1 loss in the Bay Rivers, Pocosin. So we got then over there in the peninsula, you got Hampton Phoebus, the big one on Thursday night coming up.
That's going to be a high-scoring game. That's going to be offense, I'm telling you.
Yeah, Hampton at 41 points a game. Phoebus is known to give a lot of donuts out. But I was going to say the same thing with you. I got to feel watching Phoebus give some points up to Warwick this year and a couple other games, I think it is a high-scoring game.
And remind me, next week, we're going to get the Ed Young Quarterback Power Ratings Index. He'll rank either the top 5 or top 10 in the 757. We might let him do it for the whole state because there's a lot of good ones in some of these games, too, like Marika Spanks of Phoebus, who's headed to Old Dominion, Marcus Chapman of the Crabbers, Kevin Adams of Lake Taylor, Cam Kirby for Bayside, Luke Ashcraft for Green Run, among others. So stick around. We're going to talk with the Bayside Marlins head football coach John White about that game with Green Run coming up after we return right here on 757 Sports Talk. And they're watching it where, Edward?
Best place to be, COVA Sports TV.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here is Matt Hatfield.
And welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to COVA Sports TV and interact with us. We have a special guest with us. You got a chance to watch a couple of highlights from his Bayside Marlins, who are 5-1 on the season. That was from their battle with the Salem Sun Devils a couple weeks back in late September. They're fresh off a 57-3 romp of First Colonial and homecoming before a showdown in the beach against the undefeated Green Run Stallions. We say hello to Coach John White. Coach, how's October and the football season treating you and your squad so far?
We're healthy. Everybody's locked in. We're happy to push through the bye week and, deal with a formidable beach schedule. So we're blessed for each and every opportunity that we get.
For sure. And I want to hit on what's new for this squad this year. We saw a couple of highlights there. One by a freshman who I know you're kin to, and Jair Boogie Collins had the INT late in the fourth quarter. And then Kyron Brown, who goes by the nickname of Flash, he's a returnee from a season ago. Also a guy that's back for you. He started his career with Bayside, went to Indian River, and returned your quarterback, Cam Kirby, who's coming off a heck of a showing against First Colonial, 14 of 20 through the air, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also ran for a couple of scores, 88 yards. You get a guy to go for 338 and 5 TDs. I don't care who the competition it is, what day of the week it is. That's not too bad, and you got to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean, we did what we were supposed to do. We capitalized off of mistakes. We tried to limit our own, even though we had like 17 penalties for 130. So to go by that rubric, if you will, kind of shows what we're capable of doing. And FC is not too bad. We just got out to a good start and kept riding the wave.
Now, you look at this team this year, you have somewhat early, you win your first couple of games out of the chute against Princess Anne and Cox, who had been a thorn in your side. You lose a game to Kempsville, but your group responded from that defeat, and you now have won, I think was it 3 in a row since that point? Tell me about just what you've seen different in the group's mentality, work ethic, mindset, all those things that have contributed to where you are in position to potentially get a first-round home playoff game. And I know you want more than just that here in 2025.
Yeah, I think that, you get what you inspect. And I think that a large part of that is based upon your accountability. We looked at it and said, okay, well, schematically or strategically, what we were doing was this was working well for us, but this guy wasn't doing it well. Well, he understood what his errors were and he fixed it, because, comparatively speaking, if you say, we lost to a Kinsfield team, but the Salem team that beat them, we beat them, kind of like, so we figured it out a little bit. So, stuff like that, that's the only thing that you can do is, you are what you resolve to be. And our guys figured it out versus Salem, after those are consecutive games. We had the Kinsfield loss, had to figure out who we were, find our resolve, be accountable for it, and then play a very big, very strong Salem team with a very good running back and a Hardin kid. So, we had to figure our stuff out, and that's all you can do in this world, man, is figure it out. And I think that we did that.
We're chatting with John White. He's the head football coach of the Bayside Marlins. Our guest here on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. His team at 5-1 getting ready for a key matchup against Green Run on the road for their homecoming, and we'll chat about that here in a moment. But we've hit on the playmakers, coach, and people know about the history of Bayside studs. You've had the guys like Taquan Smoke Mizell and Quinn Blanding, Anthony Cooper, Henry Coley, Demetrius Nicholson, a Gatorade State Player of the Year. But the linemen don't get the love or the shine of the glory. You have two at your guard positions that are seniors, Ashton Smith and Will Johnson. I know Will plays a key role on defense. So tell me about what they've meant to your team, because they don't get the attention, but without their contributions, you're not sitting at 5-1 having a chance to compete for top spot in the beach and even top spot in the region.
True. Ashton, Aiden, who's at the center, and Will, who's a three-year starter for us. All three of them have been the pillar of what we do. We're not just a right-handed team or a left-handed team. We go either way because of those three. They communicate pre-snap. Sometimes we also operate by the concept of what's understood doesn't need to be said. So we don't need to shout things right before the play. They just get it. So those three fully understand how cerebral this game is and how important it is to be strong in the middle. They work their tails off in regards to not just lifting the weight room, but taking care of their bodies, which comes with what you do in the weight room, and getting out there early to prep themselves. So those three have been as important, as Cam and as Flash. So they've been fantastic. Plus, Ashton and Will do a very big job for us on defense as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You can just see that they both stand out, and the line play is essential for you. For this team to be 5-1, I'm sure those are the expectations you set coming in, to be in position to be the best team in the beach and compete regionally, statewide. Now you get ready to take on a team that's won 49 in a row in the district regular season-wise, 57 when you count their playoff victories and success with a few region championships. What's made Green Run so difficult for people in your district to defeat, and how do you go about stopping them and beating them?
I think with any really good team, no matter what the sport is, whether it's individual or, whether you're wrestling, tennis, whatever it is, success breeds success. You get that one, then you get that two, you got to call that a streak and just build on it. And you do the things that you were supposed to do to be successful. In this game in football, you block well and tackle well. And I think they built upon that. Brandon's built a really good staff over there. Q did well. Q Payton's done a good job at Norview, and everything like that. He's got some really good concepts, and they've had some pretty good quarterbacks come through and do, and carry it for them a little bit. So, that's part of the reason why they've been successful. But, success breeds success. And, they've always done a good job of responding when they make a mistake. They bounce back from it. This year, I think they had two close games in which their backs were against the wall and they responded well. So the same concept that we had versus Kinsfield. So, that's all you can get from high school guys or any sport, period, at any level. So I think that they did a good job with that. So very excited about what's going to happen on Friday.
Forgive me for asking this because it's a silly media question. I believe a few years back you all established like a rivalry, like a friendship cup type of thing. People say that with like the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe in college football and different things like that. They have a trophy. Does that still exist with you guys then? Because it is a rivalry game for Bayside and Green Run that goes back many, many years.
Yeah, it's still a thing. They just have it. They just had it for so long. We ain't seen it. They walking over with it like this and just walk back off. But yeah, Coach Conyers, who was there for a second, Justin Conyers established it, just to kind of, just to keep the rah-rah stuff down a little bit. And it was a good idea. We split the price of the trophy from our booster club to his booster club at the time. And it worked out well. Went back and forth for a little. We had it for a couple of years, then they got it. And then since COVID, they've been rolling. So, like I said, we're eager to prep this week, deal with whatever weather we get during the week, and show up on Friday, play some football.
And you mentioned Coach Payton. I know he's a Hampton University guy like yourself, former standout linebacker at Bayside. You were, and then played your college football at HU, so you're still celebrating, basking in the glory of the Pirates win over Norfolk State here recently. But before we let you go, I do have to ask you, too, what would it mean to knock Green Run off? Because nobody's done it. People have come close. You've mentioned it, Kempsville, Salem. They've been on the verge. Even your team has had segments or quarters where you've been competitive with them or had some bright moments. But to do it for a full 48-minute game or longer, as we've seen some overtime games here throughout the area, if it requires that, what would it mean for you on the checklist and goals that your program has here in 2025?
I think it'll add to the intrinsic motivation of our guys. They work their tails off. They know what's necessary to be successful, especially in regards to a team aspect like this. So I think we take care of business on Friday. It's just one of those pillars that we can just establish for ourselves, that we can lean on, things get tough. And it'll be a good life experience for our community and everything like that. Same thing when we, got the Cox win and the Salem win and the Lansdowne win, because Lansdowne's a good team. It's just kind of hard to see right now, but they are a good team. And I think it'll be something that will be real, real big for our community and for everyone to build on. So I think it'll be fantastic.
Bayside trying to get to 6-1 in the season as they get ready to take on the Green Run Stallions, undefeated, one of just 2 unbeatens in Hampton Roads, along with Pocosin here in 2025. He is Coach John White of the Marlins. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Friday, and have a great weekend.
Appreciate you, Matt. Thank you.
That is John White, our guest here, the head football coach of the Marlins. We got more coming your way at 757 Sports Talk, and you're watching with us on Cova Sports TV. Stay tuned.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here is Matt Hatfield.
And we welcome you back to 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe as you hear the fight song of the Dukes of JMU. We are so privileged to be joined by the longtime director of broadcast services emeritus, 38 seasons, I think it is, and counting, for James Madison University, all sports coverage, their voice, and a Valley League Hall of Famer. We say hello to our pal, Curt Dudley. Curt, good to have you on the program. How's life treating you here? It's October. We're getting closer and closer to all the holidays like Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And for folks in the Commonwealth, this is a big one. JMU hosting Old Dominion coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a great, mid-October situation coming up here. As you mentioned, Shenandoah Valley. I'm a 757 original from Norfolk, but here in the Valley, talk about the holidays. I just keep seeing pumpkins drive by my house. They're not on wheels, but they're on tractors, of course. So they're getting ready certainly for what is a festive time of year here in the Valley and, of course, across the country as well.
No question. And both of these teams are playing rather well. They've got a pretty neat series here as of late. JMU has won a couple of squeakers 2 years ago in Harrisonburg as a 20.5-point favorite by a count of 30-27. Last year, the Dukes made the trek to Norfolk, 135-32. We know about the blowout 37-3 in 2022, so they're unbeaten against the Monarchs since they joined FBS play. But this is an improved Old Dominion team, despite its recent blemish by a wide margin at Marshall. Beat Virginia Tech on the road, played Indiana relatively close, which I want to get your thoughts at the end here about what Curt Cignetti's doing with the Hoosiers. But JMU, solid as usual. So this game has a lot of intrigue and, oh, by the way, ramifications when it comes to the Sun Belt standings and the possibility of one of those teams playing for a championship.
Yeah, right now, JMU, the only undefeated team in the East as far as conference play is concerned at 3-0. And you do have a couple of teams that just do have the one loss. So certainly we're getting towards that midpoint as far as the schedule. The Dukes do have a non-conference game in November, so that will level things off a little bit in terms of the 8 conference games. But yeah, this is a big one. I'm a little disappointed actually that, and I'm sure Old Dominion fans and the players and coaches and everybody there associated with the Monarchs are disappointed with the outcome up at Marshall. From what I understand, it was an uncharacteristic showing for this 2025 team and some mistakes that were very costly. I was keeping an eye as JMU played the noon game this past Saturday. I was keeping an eye on the score while we were in our post-game press conferences and knew the Monarchs were trailing 14-7. And then suddenly, by the time I walked from our post-game press conference up back to the press box, it was 24. The Marshall had put up 24 quickly before halftime. So I knew something had happened that was a little out of the ordinary. But, you throw all that stuff aside. It is Old Dominion. It is James Madison. Not a long football rivalry, but as Old Dominion reinstituted its football program, it became, and it is one that a lot of people will circle around, and for JMU, as far as the Commonwealth is concerned, Old Dominion and Liberty, even though you got Virginia Tech and Virginia, JMU plays Old Dominion and Liberty now on a very regular basis. So it's that, that little triangle. And of course, the Monarchs also have a victory over the Flames this year, as does JMU.
Yeah, I got a chance to pinch hit for the voice of the Monarchs, Ted Alexander, on the radio side of things when the Monarchs played Liberty in the monsoon that we had that day. Won that game 21-7. Sloppy game, but Colton Joseph was mighty impressive and was even better the next week in their romp of Coastal Carolina. They did have some miscues. Turnovers in particular really cost them at Marshall, which, as you know, all levels of football, pro, college, high school, will get you beat. Certainly the eyes are on the quarterbacks, Curt, and we can talk about those guys, rightfully so, and Colton Joseph and Alonzo Burnett for James Madison, both of whom have great quarterback numbers. But I want to hit first on the Duke's defense because they are top 13 in America in 4 of the major categories. When you talk about points surrendered, total yards yielded, stopping the run, defending the pass. And they've got some neat players on this team. I know the portal's hurt a lot of programs, but they've gotten players. They got one from Notre Dame and Aiden Gabira from Chantilly High School in Northern Virginia, Jacob Thomas, who was a multi-state champion winner in football and basketball from Stonebridge. They're doing it with a lot of blue-collar players, and that's going to probably be where they win the football game if they do, right? Stopping Old Dominion's high-powered offense if they can do it.
Yeah, what JMU has been able to accomplish this year, this being the midpoint, so the sample size is really good. If you go and you look at the game-by-game breakdown, the Dukes have taken away the strengths of nearly every team. The one exception is their one loss, and that was Louisville. But even that, they did slow the Cardinals down quite a bit and had a chance without some mistakes themselves of being in that game. They were in that game kind of late, but Louisville got a couple of big plays and, ended up winning that ball game 28-14. But they have done a really nice job, complimentary job, where the secondary has complemented the front and vice versa. And those linebackers are doing a really good job. Trent Hendrick is the one who is in there that's kind of coordinating all of that as a senior linebacker and leading the charge there. And again, in Weathersby, who had been a backup for the last several years, he's in there and he's playing, a very high level linebacker spot for the Dukes as well. So it has been very complimentary football. And as Coach Chesney said in our post-game press conference here on Saturday in Harrisonburg, they like to make the right-handed teams play left-handed. They want to make them uncomfortable, and they have been able to do that and forcing their hand. Now, they do have a little bit of a risk-reward situation, too. If you look at this past Saturday's game, the 24-14 win against Louisiana, they did give up some big plays. They gave up some big plays against Georgia Southern, gave up some big plays against Louisville. So they are susceptible to that because of their risk-reward. So they will put a lot of pressure in, get a lot of hurries, and sometimes they will get beat when they've got guys out there on the island. That's the sport, but they're willing to at least show and go that direction. And so far, it's been successful. You mentioned some of those players. Many of them have stepped up. There is not Gobira has come in. It's taken him a little while after really being medically disqualified at Notre Dame. Coming in, he got a couple of sacks at Liberty a few weeks ago, but he has not been the big standout every game. That seems to be changing and trading off, particularly from the defensive line standpoint. But your linebackers, your corners are playing really well. The safeties, Jacob Thomas, playing very well. So it is definitely a collective situation, Matt, when it comes to this defense.
Yeah, and these two programs have multi-pronged running backs or running parts to their games, both being 15th or better in the country in the rushing department. JMU at 15th nationally, Old Dominion at 10th, and the Monarchs 12th in total yards. Colton Joseph is such a weapon here. That's going to be a big thing for the Monarchs. Their receiving core has been improved. Their offensive line has been better than a year ago where they gave up a lot of sacks, but there were some questions about the receiving core coming in, Curt, about who would step up. They've seen different guys from Ja'Cory Thomas to Naeem Abdul-Rahim Gladding to Trey Brown, among others, for Colton Joseph. If the Monarchs can get big chunk plays, be it through the air or on the ground, they have to feel like they have a chance for the first time ever at the FBS level to knock off the Dukes on the road and get that signature in-state win besides the one they got against the Hokies.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's going to take some balance, I think. And, if you get some of those chunk plays and they come with consistency and you've got a lot of targets there, then certainly that does soften things up there in the middle. And maybe the running game does become a bigger factor in that. But that will be the chess match, I think, that we'll see on Saturday at Bridgeport Stadium is, can Old Dominion find some balance, just like Louisville did a few weeks ago to beat the Dukes. And we'll see how that actually plays out. I'm sure that the coaching staff for the Monarchs will have a game plan that they feel like they can utilize and soften some things up, and maybe hit with a couple of surprises here or there, catch the Dukes napping here or there, and come up with a big play, and then just basically turn things around and stop the JMU offense. Which is would be the other side of the equation. Obviously, this weekend goes without saying.
Sure, and that's going to be a big deal. Before we let you run a couple more with Curt Dudley, the longtime voice of JMU sports, everything sports here as we get ready for the 3:30 Saturday kick on ESPNU with JMU at 5-1 hosting the 4-2 Monarchs of Old Dominion. And certainly there's a lot of 757 flavor on the roster. We touched on a couple of guys, George Pettaway, another guy from Nansmith Suffolk Academy who made his way to Harrisonburg from North Carolina. Curt, you've been on the mic for so many different sports, not just football, but all across the years of JMU ODU, going back to the CAA rivalry days. What makes it so unique and special for fans, whether they're wearing the purple or they're wearing the Monarch silver and blue? What makes it so special?
Well, I think the one thing is that Old Dominion is right there in a hotbed of athletes. You cover the high school athletes there. You know where they are probably as good as anybody about their careers as scholastic athletes, and then where they go from there. And we know I grew up there in that area. Famous Amos Lawrence was one of the first guys that I got to know going to high school with him, and Bruce Smith, at Booker T as well. So it's been a long situation where there's been great talent coming out of that area. And then you've got Old Dominion right there in that area as well. And being such a big metropolitan and megapolis, I'll call it, with all those cities in that one region, many of those are going to come and they're going to disperse and come to other schools. And James Madison has been very popular. I remember the first time that I heard Madison College. I was in my homeroom at Booker T back in, 78, and I had somebody saying, "Hey, I'm looking at Madison College." I said, "Well, where is that?" And lo and behold, that I know that I had driven by it in the 5th grade going on a field trip to Luray Caverns. But that's just it. I think that there's just a lot of folks that know that area and know this area, and either whether they've come here to go to school as a student or come here to be a student athlete, which JMU has had plenty of those. Every time I look at a roster and I see a player from the Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Hampton Roads area, I know they're going to be a good athlete because the numbers bear it out there. And no matter whether it's with JMU or with other sports, so it's really cool to do that. And I think that just transcends the whole rivalry between JMU and Old Dominion.
No question. Well, it's funny. Last time I got to see you in person, I was up there on the NFHS network calling the Class 5 and Class 6 VHSL State Football Championships. And we watched a guy by the name of LeBron Bond out of Maury High School catch a long bomb as Maury romped against Briar Woods. And, oh, by the way, he's caught a few passes already this year for the top 10 ranked Indiana Hoosiers, coached by former JMU big whistle Curt Signetti. He's got some more Commonwealth players like Elijah Surratt from Colonial Forge and Kaylon Black, another former JMU Duke out of Salem High and Virginia Beach. I'm sure you're not surprised at what Signetti's doing, having gotten to know him over the years and watched him up close and personal. It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It is impressive. And you could have maybe had some doubt or kind of shaking your head. What is he doing going to Indiana? But he has proven, he's proven wherever he has been. Now, you may not necessarily like much about his personality and the way that he goes about doing things, but he does have results. And whether he was at the small college level or, working his way through, he kind of worked his way through the ranks a little quicker just because he, was there at Alabama. Then he realized, okay, for me look at the master plan that he had going back to Indiana, Pennsylvania, and then stepping over to Elon, then coming to James Madison, then going to Indiana and beating Oregon this past Saturday on the road. That was really an impressive win. And he elevates players, he elevates the program, and he really does have it going. And what's interesting this week is both James Madison and Indiana are yielding a mere 229 yards of total offense to their opponents. They are tied for 4th in the country in total defense this week.
Wow.
So that tells you a little bit something about the programs too, that they just happen to coincide with those numbers.
It is remarkable. And I always say this, you'll back me up here, Curt. And I had some trouble on New Year's Eve a couple years back getting on the air, and your entire athletic department made sure I got on the air before our women's basketball pregame show. They go above and beyond, and it is the I should not just say the roster turnover, but the coaching turnover from the years of Mickey Matthews, who won a championship, and Mike Houston, and then you see what Curt Cignetti and now Coach Chesney are doing. That they just continue to win no matter who's on the sideline. I think it speaks to what their dedication is to athletics, and it should be fun to see Coach Chesney's Dukes and Ricky Ronnie's Monarchs go head-to-head for this matchup on a Saturday in October with a lot on the line. He is the longtime Director of Broadcast Services Emeritus for JMU, 38 seasons and counting. He's marching towards 40-plus, folks. Curt Dudley, our guest here, friend here, who's got some 757 roots. Always a pleasure, my friend. You enjoy the football game, and I'm sure we'll be chatting come hardwood time basketball season. We'll get Coach Young on here to talk to you about some basketballs. He's back on the sidelines with the Smithfield Packers. But you enjoy the game, and we'll talk again down the road.
All right, thanks. Always great to be with you, Matt.
You bet. Curt Dudley, our guest here, the longtime voice of everything sports when it comes to James Madison University. It is 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV. And we'll be back with more in just a bit. Stay tuned.
It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and the one and only Coach Ed Young, every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Cova Sports TV. From high school football and basketball to the NFL, MLB, college sports, and the NBA, if it's making headlines, they are breaking it down. Bold takes, big-time guests, and a few laughs, especially at the expense of that basketball coach, Ed Young. Catch it on Cox TV and YurView, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Cova Sports TV.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we're back here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. It's 757 Sports Talk. Ed, some compelling college football matchups in addition to Old Dominion and James Madison for Sunbelt supremacy. Monarchs trying to bounce back from the tough loss in Huntington against the Marshall Thundering Herd. But some top 25 clashes headlined by Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin's group going down to Athens to take on Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs. The two quarterbacks looking to show their abilities. Trinidad Chambliss for Ole Miss and Gunnar Stockton for the Bulldogs coming back from that game with Auburn where they were down and finished up much stronger. Defense played lights out. They'll have to be lights out against an Ole Miss team that was more looking ahead after their escape versus Washington State. Played a lot better against LSU the week before. You got Miami and Louisville. LSU goes down to see Vandy and Diego Pavia. Georgia Tech and Haynes King taking on Manny Diaz's Blue Devils of Duke. Probably their toughest game left in the ACC. For Georgia Tech, they play Georgia end of the year out of conference. Tennessee, Alabama, that's always a big one. And, Notre Dame SC has your attention. Can you stop the freshman walk-on running back, King Miller? SC's 2 in the country in total yards and passing, but they ran all over Michigan's defense on Saturday night.
Yeah, that game bothers me because it's my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What a tradition they've had with some big-time games with Southern Cal. Thank God it's at Notre Dame, so I'm going to lean with the Irish. I'm going to lean with Georgia. I'm going to lean with Georgia Tech.
Okay, those are your leans. All right, and Utah, BYU. Don't listen. Those Utes, don't count them out just yet. They took it on the chin against Texas Tech, who's got maybe the most underrated defense in the nation. Utah pummeled Arizona State, but we'll see if Oklahoma can respond. We'll see if Oklahoma can respond from their loss to Texas to take on South Carolina, who got rid of its offensive line coach. So there you have it. How about the AP Top 10, the latest AP Top 10? Any qualms, any issues with this? It's the Buckeyes, then the Canes. The Hoosiers at number 3, A&M, Ole Miss, Bama, Georgia, all out of SEC flavor before you get to Texas Tech, Oregon, and LSU. I don't have a real problem with that top 10.
I don't either. I'm trying to fight it. You know me, I always like to move somebody up and somebody down as I destroy your rankings sometimes. I'm going to be okay with this one. Okay. I'm okay with this one. Texas Tech, I think, is the team of those 10 very few people really weren't talking much about.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I had to take somebody out and put somebody in, Now, they had that one bad loss statistic, but I think Utah's playing like a top 10 team. I think they will be by season's end, but I don't have a problem with it right now. And to be perfectly honest with you, Indiana 2-3 weeks ago would have laughed and scoffed at them being ahead of Georgia and A&M and Ole Miss, but what they did to Oregon, they've got my total respect, total respect. And going back to the ACC championship for a second, Miami looks to be in the driver's seat. But if Georgia Tech loses to Duke, which I know you don't think will probably happen, but does Virginia have a real shot at this thing? Their only really hard game the rest of the way is Duke, although we were talking, and you think UNC, despite its turmoil, could be a trap spot for the Cavaliers. Could be a trap spot.
Yeah, I think everybody in the world is going to pick Virginia to beat them. And what's Carolina got to lose? You might as well get out there, put it all together. UVA starts looking ahead a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
That's going to do it for this week's episode of 757 Sports Talk. For the coach, Ed Young, I am Matthew Hatfield, and we will catch you next time. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV. Enjoy your sports weekend, everyone, and we'll chat with you again next time. So long. Farewell. Until we meet again.